Good morning, everyone. A very good morning. Shall we begin the session? Yeah, today's topic is the returning objects. That is how we can return the or how we can make the objects as a argument. How we can make the object that is used as an argument that is used as a object that cannot return that. And the example illustrates how an object can be created and return to them or return to another function. So this is how the object can be created, how the objects can be modified within the creation, so that how the function will be used, how it is used with another function, how it is created with another function, how it is returning the value. Returning the value means returning the object. That means how we can return the arguments within the data within the values. So there are two parts of complex, real and the imaginary, that contains the input real, float imaginary, that is the x is real and the y is imaginary. For example, to create the values, we created the objects for the x and the y, that is the two variable, and one of the component, that is iota, that is used in the complex numbers. So float x, float y, public void input, float real, float imaginary. X is real, so real part is given in the x, and the imaginary part, that means the next part, is given in the y. Then friend complex sum, complex complex. Let's continue with the program. This program shows how to return the value using the namespace std class complex. Then there are two data members in this, that is the x and the y, that contains the float and the float. One is the real part, one is the imaginary part. And there is one inline function, that is the input, that has a return value void, and there are two arguments in this. One is a real, one is the imaginary. Now the real part is stored in the x and the imaginary part is stored in the y. Then there is a one more function, that is a sum, that is of the friend type. So friend complex, sum complex complex, that means the two arguments that are given are also the complex. Then void show complex, that means there is a function, that is a show, that contains the return value as a void, and the return argument is again the complex. Then complex sum, complex C1, complex C2. Again there are two arguments in this, and there are two variables, C1 and the C2. Complex C3, in which the object C3 is created out. Yeah, it is like a variable, but we say in the class it is an object. Else everything is same. The functionality is same, so it is using the dot operator. It is used the maximum and the minimum. Everything that is same. So this is C3 dot x equals to C1 dot x plus C2 dot x. Then C3 dot y equals to C1 dot y plus C2 dot y. Then return C3. That returns the object C3. Then void complex show complex C. Then C out C dot x plus j. That means there's a in between there is a variable that is stored is a j. Then C dot y. So C dot x and the C dot y are the two variables that is stored in it. Then int main complex ABC. Again there are three parts, complex ABC. Then A dot input 3.1 5.65. Then B dot input 2.75 and the 1.2. Again there are two parts on this. Then C equals to sum AB. Now this will add the values of A and B. So this is C equals to A plus B. Then C out A dot show, C out B dot show, C out C dot show. Then there is a return 0. So upon execution of this program, the output will be A dot show, that will be fired. Show contains C dot x. What is the C dot x? That is the 3.1 that we have supplied the values. Then plus J, that will be right as it is. This is a J. Then there is a 5.65, that is the next part. So 5.65 is also written over here. Then B dot show, again there is a show part that will be used. So that show will be used to show the content. Again there is a C dot x that will be used. So it's 2.75, 1.2. This will be showing as it is. Then 5.85, last part is 5.85. that is the addition of the 3.1 and the 2.75 and the 5.65 and 1.2. This program adds the two complex number a and b to produce a third complex number c and display all the three numbers. The next is the constraint member functions. What is a constraint member function? That we declared as a constraint, that we declare as a constraint member function in which we are not able to modify or alter the data in the object. Yeah, if the member function does not alter any data in the object, then we may declare it as a constraint member function, that is as follows: void mul int. There are two arguments and the function name is mul. That is a constant because we declared the value or we use the keyword const. Then double get balance constraint. So this qualifier, that is the constant, is appended to the function prototype in both the declaration and the definition, and the compiler will generate an error message if such function try to evaluate or alter the data values. Then next is pointer to a member. It is again possible to take the address of a member of a class and assign to a pointer. So the address of a member can be obtained by applying the operator and up to a fully qualified class member name. Yeah, that is a variable. Now next part is whenever a class pointer that can be declared using the pointer variable using the operator with the class name. For example, given in the class A, private int m, public void show. There are sorry. There are two parts in this. One is the m that is of the private part and the show that is of the public part. And we can define a pointer to the member m, that is as follows. So int a asterisk ampersand a, then m. So this in pointer or IP pointer created thus X as a class member in that it must be invoked with the class object. And the statement about a asterisk means pointed to a member of the A class. And the phrase am means the address of the m, that is a member of the A class. And remember, the following statement is not valid. Int asterisk IP equals to ampersand m, that won't work. This is because m is not simply as integer data type. It has meaning only when it is associated with the class to which it belongs. And the scope operator must be applied to both the pointer and the member. And the pointer IP can now be used to access the member m and inside the member functions or friend functions. So we use the object of A that is declared in the member function. So we can assume the m as using the pointer IP as follows. So cout A pointer IP that is used to display, then A dot m, that is same as above. Now look at the following code. AP equals to ampersand A, cout AP, then AM. Then dereferencing operator is also used to access a member when we use a pointer to both the object and the member. The dereferencing operator is used when the object itself is used with the pointer or the member pointer. And note that the IP is used like a member name. We can also design the pointers to the member functions, which then can be invoked by using the dereferencing operators in the main as shown below. This is the object name pointer to member function, that is a 10, pointer to object pointer to member function 10, that is higher than the precedence that is used with the pointer and the asterisk and the arrow and the asterisk. So the parentheses are necessary for this. Next week, a program that illustrates the use of differencing operators to access the class members. So there is a differencing operator hash include iostream using namespace std class m. There are two parts, x and the y, and the public void set xy int a int b. Now the a will be stored in the x. Now the b will be stored in the y. Then the friend int sum mm. So there are two parts again. There is a member name, function name, that is a sum, that is of the integer type, and the friend type. then the M and the M. So capital M is the name of the class and the small m is the name of the variable or the object that we are using. The int sum mm, int m, px, ampersand m, xy, m into pm equals to ampersand m, int s, that is m into pointer px, pm is py, return s, then int main mn, void mpf, int, then m set xy, then n into pf, that is the 10 and the 20, and the L sum, then again m into op is ampersand n, and the oppf is 30 40, c out, sum operator is used, and this is the return is 0. Then the output will be given as the sum is 30 and the sum is 70, because first is 30 with the use of address operator, then dereferencing it is a 70. What is a local class? That is, local class means uh, we can say the within the block or within the function. So it is a defined as a block, or it is defined and used inside a function or a block. Such classes are known as the local classes. So void test int a function. There is a class student. This is a local class because it is used in the void test only. Class student, local class definition, then semicolon, student S1A. So created an object that is a student object, use a student object after this. So local classes can use the global variables, and the static variable declared inside the function cannot be used the automatic local variables. And the global variables could be shared or could be used with the scope resolution operator, that is a 4 dots. And there are some restrictions in constructing the local classes. They cannot have a static data members. They cannot have a member function that must be defined inside the local classes. And when we enclose, a function cannot access the private members of a local class. However, we can achieve this by declaring the enclosing function as a friend. So it is used as a friend function. It is used as a data members member function that will be defined within the local class. So yeah, global variables and the static variable that is used, that can use the automatic static variable or the local variable. So they are using the scope resolution operator in constructing the local classes. So when we say about the summary of this chapter, so class is an extension of the structured data type or structured array. A class can have both the variables and the functions as the members. By default, the member of a class are private, whereas that of the structure are public. This is one of the limitations. A class have a private member by default, and the structure have a public members. And only the member functions can have access to the private data members and the private functions. However, the public members can be accessed from outside the class. It is not inside the class, it is from the outside the class. And in C++, the class variables are known as the objects. They are variables, they act as a variable, their properties again the variable, but they are known as the objects. And with the objects, we can access the public members of a class using the dot operator. We can define the data members, member functions inside or outside the class. But the difference is the normal function and the member functions that can be used with the function variable member function that uses a membership identity label in the header to indicate the class to which it belongs. And next one is data member of a class is also known as the static. Can also be declared as a static and normally used to maintain the values common to the entire class. Static member variables must be defined outside the class. Static member function can have access to the static member declared in the same class, can be called using the class name. And C++ also allows up to have array of objects. There is a multiple objects can be created, that is known as the array of objects. And we may use objects as function arguments. We may use or we may declare the function as a friend that is not in the scope of the class to which it has been declared as a friend, and it has a full access to the private members of the class. And a function can also return an object. If a member function does not alter any data in the object, that will be declared it as a constant member function that is appended to the function type prototype. And it is also possible to define a user class inside a function. Such a class is known as a local class that I have discussed right now. Yeah, it is possible. It is not mandatory. It is optional that we can define and use a class inside a function. Then there's the scope resolution operator, static data member, friend function, inheritance, how they are related with each other, what is the class, what is how to accomplish the data hiding, how C++ structure different from a C++ class, how are a member of a function defined, how we can use the inside function, how we can declare the function as a member function of the same class, how we can declare the member as a static by initializing with the 0. Then what is a member function? What is a friend function? What are the components, merits, demerits of using friend function? And state whether the following statements are true or the false. First point says data items in a class must always be private. By default it is private, but not always it is private, right? And there is a function that is designed as a public and be accessed like any other ordinary function. And class members are public by default. Friend functions have access to only public members of a class, that is the entire class, and functions cannot return the class objects. Yeah. Then for identification of the errors, it is again given. And this there's also question for the output finding. These are the errors. This is the programming exercises. You have to declare a class represents a member function. Next is constructor and the destructors that we are going to talk within the next class, that is in the tomorrow's class. So any doubts anyone till now? So clarify.